Hello. 19th century philosophy class. I'm doing what's that shadow? Oh, I usually have the fans going, but the fans broke, and the light's in a different spot now. That sucks. Anyway, I have to. He gave us a topic to help my professor to help us out. And under the topic, which the topic is limits on sovereign authority in Hobbes' civil society, Thomas Hobbes. And we're reading Leviathan. There's 8 questions. What I'm doing in this composition book that I have nicknamed and put titled in the front, the Book of Rough Drafts. I'm trying to give like 2-3 pages to answering each of these 8 questions. Let's see here. So I'm going to say the questions aloud and try to answer them. And if I have time, I'll show you previews of my other videos, or of videos I plan on doing in the future, and I have visual aids for it too. So, alright, first question: what is the basic problem that people in the state of nature face? In Hobbesian society, in the state of nature, everyone's busy stabbing each other in the face not because they're evil, but because of no one can trust anybody. So they feel it's only necessary that they have to stab at each other in the face to defend themselves, because there's no overlord protecting everybody. And also contracts cannot. There could be no such thing as contracts in state of nature for Hobbes, because there's no one to enforce the contract. Also, there's no such thing as property in the state of nature for Hobbes, because there's no one to protect property. There's no sovereign to protect property. Although any redneck with a shotgun can tell you otherwise. Question 2. What sort of political authority does Hobbes think is required to solve this problem? It's either a tyrannical monarch like Stalin, or a committee of people who have absolute power, like an oligarchy. And he says, you have to have a dictator. That's what Hobbes says, because he can't be restrained anyway. If you have 2 dictators, like in Rome, they'll be in state of nature in relation to each other, and there'll be chaos. They'll just kill each other. They won't be effective. And also, if you have a constitution to regulate the dictator, who's going to be the guy in charge of punishing the dictator if he breaks the constitution? You would need someone higher than the dictator. But who would see if the guy higher than the dictator is being smart? You need a guy even higher than the guy that's over the dictator. And you need a dictator for that, and go into infinity. The problem with Hobbes' view is that he sees all of government relations and all relations in society like a pyramid. See, so if it's a pyramid, you can't have anyone above the top, because then you would have another guy. It has to stop somewhere. And at the peak, the guy at the very top has to not be bound by any laws at all. Has to have absolute power to avoid turtles. But I think modern society proves Hobbes absolutely wrong, because there's such a thing as checks and balances. Even though it doesn't always work for liberty, it still proves Hobbes wrong, because we're not all stabbing each other in the face. Question 3. What is the source of the sovereign's authority? Pretty much Hobbes says that if the majority of the populace isn't actively, violently seeking to overthrow the government, then the government is getting its power from the people, because the people aren't actively trying to kill it. That's pretty much it. How extensive is the authority according to Hobbes? Absolute. What limits are there on the sovereign authority, and why? Well, one of the limits that Hobbes mentioned is the fact that the sovereign, the dictator, isn't a god. So the dictator has to hire underlings to do his business. That's one limit, because then the underlings have a bit of power, but the underlings still have to do what says the dictator, or die. There's actually a part in the book where we're in Leviathan, where he talks about how it's okay for you to go to rebel against the government for your own preservation, but how it's still okay that the dictator, Hobbes' government, has the power to wipe out its population and kill people, because it's the dictator. And he says that there's a difference between ordering people to kill themselves and them killing themselves, and then the government just killing people. And he says you're free that way, because instead of you killing yourself, you just get to get killed by somebody else. Ridiculous. Alright, is civil disobedience ever principle? I think I already answered that. If so, under what conditions? I already answered that. You know what? I think I'm just going to... This is actually 7 questions, because those 2 questions are like the same. Last question. How do these limits change the kind of authority the subjects give to the sovereign? Basically, if your sovereign's bad, you can take them out. Okay, I pretty much answered that pretty quickly. So I'm going to make previews of my other course. Basically, about my hobbies, which are these 2 things. Before you freak out, this isn't a real gun. It's actually it's a paintball gun. See, it has a cool barrel you can throw this on here. And where is it at? On the side here, you put a hopper, so you have like this bowl thing that you put paintballs in. And on this end here, you put the gas tank. And then you take it out to a field. There's 2 fields around here. And then you pwn bustas, pretty much. Hardcore. You like freaking hide in the woods, pop out, be like, paint. And you got paint everywhere. But you could definitely scare the shit out of some people with one of these, because if you didn't know better, you'd think this was real. I think if you knew no guns, this little dealie right here would make it like obviously a paintball gun, because no real guns need a line connecting the chamber to this little dealie back here. I don't know, maybe if I did like this, it'd be like, I can scare people. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be a whole video. And this is gonna be a whole video too. I ordered both of these in the mail. It's freaking Warhammer Fantasy. It's a miniatures game. Badass. And also I'm reading Stirner. Okay, this video has gone on way too long. YouTube videos should only be 2 minutes of people singing and jumping off of things. So before I bore you any further, thank you.